Hi guys. I'm gonna pop on. I just really haven't shown you just the basic. Oh my goodness, I look crazy. I just got off work, so I just left my paint clothes on. Why change, right? My hair is lovely. It look amazing. Not really. This little stand I've had in my living room, and I've been wanting to paint it to match my other stuff. And it's white, or the cream, the lily. So I just thought I would show you guys how easy it is to utilize all this yummy detail. And it's very easy, very simple if you just want to paint one color, one basic color. And if it has detail like this, sometimes you don't even have to sand it. But we'll rub across it with a sanding block, and you can get these in different grits. And I like these especially to, once you paint every layer, you smooth it down, sand it down. And I have the smallest grit for doing that. But anyways, we'll get started. So I hope you'll be able to see everything. I'm gonna go ahead and start on the, actually I'm gonna do a layer on the top real fast. And that way, I was gonna stain it. I did the tutorial on the stripping this. But I got to thinking, all my stuff in my living room is all white. There's not a stained top on in there, and I want it all to match. So, I just start with, and yeah, I know I'm using white, but there's gook in there. It's fine. It's dry. It's not gonna be a problem. I want to get that first layer of lily on the top, and here's one of the secrets. Go ahead and dampen the furniture where you're gonna paint it. It goes on a lot smoother, and it doesn't seem so thick. See how that, and it, I mean, for that first layer, you don't even really need a whole lot. If I'm in the way, I apologize. And the first layer doesn't really have to look pretty, but you want to just keep brushing it in. And if the spots get dry on you, add a little bit more water. I want it all to the way to the edge. I almost thought about doing a different color top too, but I'm like, no, I want to stick with my theme that's in the living room. So, all right, I'm just brushing back and forth just to get that dried now. Drying up good over there. I can feel it. You can feel it start to get tacky or pull on your brush, but if you notice your brush marks start to go away, the more, oh, my arm. Just keep brushing back and forth. This is drying it, and it's just feathering out those brush marks. You see them start to go away? Over here especially. Yep. It's because it's drying, but that's a good example to start with right here. So when you do your second coat, you're going to do the same thing. Alright, now you can already see I want all this detail to come out, so I'm not going to paint it a solid color. So let's get this part done all in white, and then we can start with the yumminess. You don't really need a whole lot on your brush. Make sure you get, I had to mend that one corner. Oh my gosh, it's just, I'm surprised it's even hanging on. But, you know, it is what it is now. I almost put too much water in there. So we'll just let that sit up. Let me find my rag. Or paper towels. Where did they go? Alright. Okay, I was gonna sit on my cart, but I think I'm gonna fall on my face if I do that, so. Boy, it sure got cold. I hate this transitioning into May. Yeah, I thought April was supposed to be. April showers bring May flowers, but I don't remember it being always so cold. Let's let that set up a little bit. This is dry enough. I'm going to show you what I do if I have legs like this to do. I'm going to flip it upside down. And since that top is pretty dry, I'm not. Now, listen, I'm not going to spray the legs. I'm not going to spray the legs. I'm going to already do that dry brush to them. The top, the flat surfaces, I wanted to because I wanted that to be a nice, solid coat on my second coat. But these, and you'll see why, because this is where it all, look at that. Yay! Such cool stuff. And I'm just lightly dry brushing this on. But I'm feathering like I did, you know, that one layer. Oh, supper time. Supper time. But do you see that? You just keep feathering it. But look how, let me see if I can get you in closer. But use that detail to your advantage. You know, that's where you get, that really pretty look. I mean, the piece of furniture does it for you. Now, I haven't dipped it in the paint again, so I'm just keep going back and forth. There's brush marks there, so I'm going to keep like I was doing before. Just go back and forth. You're just feathering that brush. Okay? I gotta move it. Can you, am I, okay. I just want to make sure I keep putting it back in the camera, within the camera's area. Now, it depends on how much you want to leave. I mean, this is pretty cool in itself. If you want to go a little bit more full, you can add a little bit, another layer. I'm still dry, look at this. I'm still dry brushing. Look at this on my hand. There's barely anything on there. But it's working itself on the furniture yet. Okay, I'm gonna show you this. Oh, I love this down in here. Look at this. See, let that piece of furniture work for you. So I'm gonna do each leg in just that layer. Or like that. And we'll come back and see if I want to do any more. See what I'm doing there? I haven't dipped my brush yet. You still see that? Just going back and forth. That's why I love doing these pieces that have so much detail, because It's so awesome to see them show their own personalities. Now, some of the furniture pieces that I've done, they've been very flat, and I can't say boring, but they just don't have a lot of detail. Now, since I've been playing around with furniture molds, plaster molds, whatever you want to call it, clay molds, I can make my own molds and put some detail in spots that I, see, it's still dry. My brush is really dry, but what I'm doing is I'm just moving that, what's still wet on there, I'm still moving it around. So I like that. Again, look at that leg. And depends. If you want it thicker than that, we'll come back and do a little bit thicker just so you can see it. Because I want to, you know, like I said, but can you just see that though? Just, I mean, yeah, I'm I love that detail. When I get a really, really ornate piece, I just cannot wait to get a hold of it because I just want to hurry up and play around with that detail. And so I'm just going, I have the paint on my brush, and I went all the way up and down the leg, and now I'm not going to dip it again. I am just feathering that and like barely touching it. Like I am barely touching it like that. See? Just going it back and forth. You can kind of hear it. Now on these flat pieces, like I said, you can go a little bit more. Oops, man. This is the sunset dresser I have underneath here covered up on rollers, and I can't lean against it. And I almost went rolling with it. It's amazing how far this paint goes. I think everybody wants to just blob it on, and there's my glue dripping right there that dried, so we might go a little bit thicker there to try and cover that up. But I think, now I was guilty of that in the very beginning. I did such thick coats and I went through so much paint, it was ridiculous. And this stuff, you know, it's not like going and getting a gallon at your local store for $10. Alright, last leg. And you can work in small sections. This is just what I do. So I get a little bit of paint all over, and then I just start working it. Now, of course, on a bigger piece, you're going to want to do smaller sections, like, you know, there, and then go down further. But this one is so cute and little, I just am going for it. I have just been dying to do this to this piece, so I thought, you know, I don't think I've done a basic chalk paint video for you guys. So, now your brush is so dry, or I mean not dry, but you're almost scrubbing that paint onto it. Let me look at the back side here. But there is paint still in the brush. As you can see, I mean, I'm still getting it on there. So, oops, sorry guys. Make sure that I got all that one. Okay. Now this thing, don't worry about this right here. If you have the lines, because you can come back and sand that. You can come back and go. When we do the second coat on this, we're gonna spray it lightly and you'll see it blend in a little bit more. Now, I can't wait to do this spot. It's really looking cute. I kind of like this, but I don't know. I might, like I said, I'll go a little bit more white on there. Ah, look at that. Oh, my camera moved. Let's go back over here. There we go. Now, I'm going to do the same thing to this. Because this is the kind of effect that I want. I love that right there. I'm really loving that. And don't forget your under edges. It's like if someone falls down on your floor and they're like, oh, you missed a spot. But I just get a little bit on there so it doesn't really stand out. All right, so I'm just gonna dry brush that in. Back and forth. So, there's your first layer. Now let's come back up here. This is fairly smooth, so I'm not gonna worry about sanding it. It's really good. It feels pretty good. So this side is good. This side I'm gonna sand a little bit. I'm not even putting pressure on it. Basically, I'm like, you know, when you have the Ouija board, you kind of let it move by itself. That's what I'm doing here. Just a little bit. Okay. Now, if you have a lot of dust on there, of course, you're going to want to either blow that off or you can use a dry rag. But if there's an excess amount, I would wet down your rag completely with like almost hot to warm water. Wring it and wring it and wring it. Get all that water back out. And then come back and smooth it down. And let it dry before you paint again. So, all right. So here we go. Now, like I said, this is going to be a solid again. So I'm going to come back thick, a little bit thicker. And I'm going to try and just do a fine, very fine mist on there. Not as much as last time, hopefully. I will try and lean it towards you guys. Well, I went really thin. You can go another coat, it's okay. Now I'll do another video when for blending, because that takes a little more technique to it, but you're still doing this dry brush feathering effect as part of it. Okay, and then we're going to go around the edge. Instead of moving, I'm just going to come to the back side. Oops. Well, my brush decided to poo on me. I love, in all these nicks, it tells a story in this thing. This thing has been through a lot for a little guy. So I'm leaving all that. I'm not going to grind. I'm not going to sand that out or anything. I'm not going to try and make this all smooth. I want this piece to tell me its story. So, yeah. Now, since we just did that, and I don't have, well, hopefully maybe that'll dry, and then we can flip it upside down again. We'll go ahead and work this. Yes, let's go ahead and put this on. Your second coat down here on your main, or your bottom part. Yes, go ahead and bring that in thicker than what you had it before. And yep, I forgot to spray it. I did. I don't want to do it now, since I did not do it in the beginning. I'm going to wait. I'm just going to go ahead and go for it. It will be fine. But you want to keep working that paint. I mean, you don't want to just put it on and go, because all those little lines are going to show through. And I'm spreading this out, and the drier it gets, I'm barely touching it. Like, say I touch it that much, and then the very last, I just barely touch it like that. I'm making contact is what I guess I want to say. And I'm just going back and forth just to try and get it to dry. And one good big tip, when you start out with your brushes, hit them around and pull on them and get all those loose bristles out, because then that's less that you have to pull off your piece of furniture. It's getting where I'm liking it. Now I can even put a stencil on here or a stamp of some kind, and I can do that later, but I just wanted to show you guys just the basic chalk paint brushing. Going back and forth, hoping it dry, smooth. That's just that much less sanding that you have to do. And the key to a very nice smooth piece is the feathering, plus you can sand in between coats. Now it's getting very dry, so I'm gonna let it go. Let it be. Let it be. Now, is this dry enough? I can flip. Let's flip it. flip it good. There. Okay, I'm just gonna I'm basically coming back with the same amount on my brush as I did with the first layer. So I'm not coming back any thicker. It's just gonna put a little bit more on there. Highlight what's already there. So I'm not gonna go into the crevices because I want that detail to show through. More of an antique-y look without antiquing it. Oh, hold on. Come on, Bubba. Come on. Come on. Come on in. Oh, come here. Come on in. I already got the door open. So, sorry, my cat was outside and he was, oh, now he's gonna cry. Well, no, oh my goodness. All right, I gotta let him back out. Oh my goodness. In or out? Okay, so I just, thing going on with my paint jar. I'm just gonna rotate it around. Do every leg now. So even adding this second layer gives it another dimension because you have that first very light layer underneath, and then this just gives it seriously another dimension because you can still see that first layer, but then the second layer is a little bit thick. I mean, it's a double layer. Try for my head. I couldn't go slower if I flip it. And so this, I'm going to show you the difference here. So this one is the first, or the leg with just one layer. This is the leg with the second layer. So you can see it's a little bit thicker, but I'm still letting that darker color and the details in the crevices show through. Did I do one leg twice? Did I forget this leg? I don't know. Did I? Because this one doesn't look like it's been done twice. I thought that was done. That doesn't take long. And you can go up and down and sideways if you start to see brush marks. Some brush marks are okay. I mean, but I think that's the line. It's the texture of the piece already that was already on it. Because of that dark color that was already on it, the finish was going to leave a texture, and so sometimes that paint follows that. But you know what? I think it's pretty awesome looking when that happens. So I love it. I'm so waiting to do this piece. Anyway, I'm still feathering it, still fanning that dry. I'm basically fanning it dry and, I don't know, feathering it, feathering it on and fanning it dry at the same time. All right. We gotta do this piece. But you can see I'm not going completely solid, guys. If you ever get a little stand like this, just experiment with it. And if you don't like it, you can paint over it. It's just paint, not a big deal. Or you can paint it solid, whatever your heart desires. All right, we're gonna sand this again. Remember, just Ouija board it. I'm going to call it Ouija board it. Let the sander, the block do the job. And the top is pretty dry, so I think I'm going to wet this down this time. For the final coat. Now, normally I don't go 3. Forgot to do that front edging. I want it to stand out, but I want some paint on it. And you can slap your brush up against a side because there's so much paint that always collects right up there. Slap that up against the side and you get so much off of it. There's so much left in your brush. Lightly. All right. I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna do the top. And then I'm gonna show you, we'll hit it lightly. Hopefully that dries before I do this. There's another tip. If you see some paint blobbing in a corner, take a dry brush that you haven't used and just poke it in there, just kind of, because that's going to fan it out and smooth it out. So that's that. All right. Lightly, too much on there. Oh. I want that pretty solid up here, if it will let me. Let me. I smell stew. Somebody's making stew, I think. I don't know. A coworker and I were talking today. She come up, she said, I smell peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I'm thinking, you need to quit smelling the paint, because I don't. But I was thinking that one time I was out at work and I was smelling, oh gosh, what was it? It was just like fried hot dogs or something. It was really strange smell, and it makes you wonder, like, is that a spirit eating a sandwich by you? I don't know. I don't know. Is it? But there's the top, guys. I think I'm going to probably put some kind of a little stencil up there. I'm just going to use the excess out of my brush here. I'm going to leave it like that. So, I want to show you that. Maybe the back side will be dry enough I can show you. Just lightly if you want to distress it. Now, usually I will use my hand sander, and I'll show you a picture. I will show you that. It's just called a detailed sander. Palm sander. I think this is a detailed sander. But I like the point because you can get on the edges. But on big pieces, I like to use this because I think this is just too bulky for this little piece. So I'm not going to use it. But I'll show you that when I use this on a bigger piece in another video, of course. All right, so I'm going to spin this around. Hopefully the back side is dry and I can show you. A little bit of distressing, just very light distressing. So watch the edges and watch coming around. That's a little bit wet. Shoot, this one's dry. So let me move it. Move it. There we go. Put a lid on this so I don't tip anything over. All right. You can actually wet distress it too, but see that? Did you see that? See that? Now watch this edge right here. See it? You can just hit it as light or as heavy as you want. Okay? That's all there is to it, guys. Wet distressing. Now, let's see if I should have my wipes out here. I'll show you what wet distressing is. Maybe not. Maybe I do not have them, so I apologize. Well, anyway, let me show you with this rag. I use baby wipes for wet distressing, but basically it's just a wet rag or a damp rag or a baby wipe, like I said, and you can get the same kind of effect, but not so harsh with like the big detailed sander. I mean, if you want this rubbed back off, all you got to do is just rub it back off. Let it get wet. It's going to reactivate again. But see, it's getting the marks on there. See that? See that right there? And right there, and on that edge. Yeah. And it's up to you how much distressing do you want. This is almost dry. Let me try and get up there. So you have to give it a minute if you're wet distressing, because it has to get wet again and moist because it had dried on you. There. You see it starting? There. If you want that. Otherwise you can come over with this. Like that. So I'm going to let this dry, and I will probably distress it just a little bit. I want to distress it around the circle things, around the edges, and around the edge of the top, and of course around here. So basically, guys, that's it on basically Basic Chalk 101 painting. And so if you have any questions, please, if you watch this video, type #replay and put your questions in, and that will alert me and give me a notification that you are on and watch this. So, but that's it. Like I said, you can do a solid like this. But, you know, if your piece has so much detail like this, let that piece talk to you. Let it tell you its story. I love to do that. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.